New Roadhog is a beast. You gotta get on it. I'm gonna help you out with some tips to play this steamrolling monster. My name is Nate, and welcome to Blizzard Guides. We've got 7 tips that'll range from beginner stuff to some advanced techniques. But before we get into that though, I do want to tell you about our Twitter, which you should be following. If you're not following, well, I'm gonna be mad at you, and you should probably follow them. You don't want me mad at you. I mean, I'm not gonna do anything, but I'm gonna be upset, which I don't want to be upset. So follow me on Twitter. But anyway, let's get started with this video. So starting this video off at number 7, let's talk about your mindset when playing Roadhog. Obviously, you're an off tank, so you should be helping your team and particularly your main tank, but because you don't have a ton of tools for helping your team out that much, you're also going to be focusing on doing damage a lot. Actually, as a matter of fact, that's your primary role as a Roadhog. You don't have a shield, you don't have bubbles, you don't have matrix, so you do damage. You have 2 really important values that you can provide your team with Roadhog. First, you can hook your enemy in for just no cost to you at all, so you don't have to overextend to get the hook, meaning that you can get a free kill if you land a hook and pull the enemy in. The second thing is your alt fire, which is super strong against destroying shields. So that means your 2 roles are as follows. First, shield break, and second, quickly killing one squishy or at least repositioning them into a bad spot. So with that in mind, you're going to want to play best whenever the enemy doesn't have much to block your shield, and you're in a position where you can easily hook enemies into spots that are safe for you because of your lack of protection, meaning you're going to perform best using corners to peek, pull in targets, and shield break from that spot. On top of that, if there's anybody on your supports or tanks, playing slightly back and hooking them in and then killing them is super useful. At number 6, Hog is really good with Orisa and Hammond. Now, most of you know how to do the Orisa stuff, so I'm not going to go over into it too much in detail since I don't want to be super boring for you guys. But basically, Hog thrives with Orisa because he's able to self-heal and utilize that bunker shield by himself, and since it doesn't move much, he's able to get value more so than a Rhine shield. Then on top of that, because Orisa has pull, you can have your Orisa pull people in and then you hook them. But finally, because Orisa doesn't have so much health, she can get a bit more of a pocket because she can self-heal, and also she doesn't have to be around her shield, which means that she can be doing her own main tank things while you play her shield and do your own off tank things. But now let's talk about the Wrecking Ball pairing, or Hammond or Hamster or whatever you call him, the ball hero tank thing. He's actually super good for pairing with Hog, believe it or not. Now, since both tanks are kind of reliant on getting value from repositioning the enemy team, you can combine those forces to really beat the crap out of the enemy team. They soak up a lot of damage and they don't have shields, but they both can self-heal in a way, so Hammond can pop shields and gain upwards of 700 HP, and Roadhog has that 300 HP self-heal with that 50% damage reduction, meaning that they can be self-reliant. So many teams run this simple combo where Hammond pile drives, Hog hooks one, they kill him, they push forward, Hammond boobs somebody behind the shield, and then they hook him, and then they kind of just chain CC these people and reposition everybody from the Rhine or Orisa shield, or the Winston bubble, so when everybody dives in, they just kind of keep their team separated so they can't necessarily dive a specific target. Your biggest weakness though is going to be a Sombra Doomfist composition, which in my opinion is actually going to be harder to run than Hammond Hog, so being countered is really going to require a bit more coordination from the enemy team than might be necessary on your part. You're really just going to be manipulating the enemies behind the Reinhardt or Orisa shield so that they can never really get any value out of that shield, and the shield just doesn't protect them because Hammond can easily get in, boop somebody away from that, and then Roadhog can hook them and reposition them, and if you get 1 kill per fight using that combo before the team fight actually begins, you're going to be consistently winning those fights. So that combo is definitely much stronger in my opinion than the Orisa combo, although it is very difficult to pull off, so you do have to coordinate a lot with your main tank. Moving on, at number 5, a few important hook techniques. So first off, you should know that you should be able to turn the hook 90 degrees once you get the hook. So you hook them in and then you can turn 90 degrees and it'll still work. This is useful to hook somebody and put them behind a wall and then body block them from getting behind the wall to their side of the wall, or to hook them off a cliff, or just to simply hook somebody to the side that you can open up more space. Like if you hook a Rhine and you want to ult, but you don't want him to block it from his supports, if you hook him and put him to the side, it's way harder for him to block your ult with his shield. And then on top of that, keep in mind that Rhodes' hook hitbox is a square. It's just a giant box, so you don't have to hook their body. If you hook their head, it'll still connect and not disconnect. You just have to see any part of them when you're hooking, and it counts. You can bait people by meleeing and faking a hook. This works best against Genji, but it also works for most people, honestly. All you do is you just pretend to hook, and the Genji will waste his deflect, and suddenly you get a free kill. You're also able to hook and follow up most with a melee, but hooking and shooting twice works better against enemies with weird hitboxes like Ana. So the rule of thumb is that if they're an easy kill, shoot and melee, but if they have a small hitbox, 2 shots is better. So you hook and then you shoot once, shoot twice, and then maybe melee. If you're going to hook somebody particularly difficult to kill, you can also alt fire before you hook, and then you hook and get a bit of extra damage before you go in for the hook and get the kill. Now finally, if you're out of ammo, or it's something like a Reinhardt or Zarya that you need to immediately kill, you can hook and then whole hog to nearly instantly kill them rather than shooting or doing something. Whole hog does less damage the further away you are, so if you hook and then immediately whole hog, it just kind of closes all that distance immediately, so it'll still put them back to where they were next to their team, but it is still useful. And actually, you can combo that hook to the side and then whole hog. So let's say you want to get the run, you hook them, look to the right, and then whole hog and put them away. Also, if necessary, use up all of your ammo, hook, whole hog, and then you don't have to reload once you exit whole hog. It's kind of a niche thing, but I've used it multiple times to clutch a lot of fights. So at number 4, some more whole hog usage tips. Whole hog in general is just really good against Reinhardt. So if you see him pinning, let's say you're Ana, and you want to keep her up, you can whole hog the Reinhardt if you don't have hook and keep your Ana up. All you do is whole hog directly in front of the path that he's going to take, and it'll push him upwards, and then he will miss the charge. You can also whole hog an Orisa when she fortifies. It'll instantly kill the Orisa because fortify blocks any sort of CC, so she'll be taking all of the max damage whole hog rather than immediately falling back. Whole hog is also really good for keeping enemy ults away where they require line of sight, like Visor or Genji's Blade where they physically have to go in. If you whole hog something like this, it could very well be the difference between a win or a loss. Just keep in mind that if you're whole hogging something like a Soldier Visor, use a corner and use the objects in the map so that you don't get shot and killed by the Visor, because you do not have the ability to self-heal whenever you're using whole hog. So be very careful, don't whole hog somebody in the middle of an open point, because then you will get focused down. Just do it in niche scenarios like that. This also works really well if you're stuck in a grab, but the enemy is trying to close in to finish up the kills, like in a comp versus triple tank, triple support. So they don't have any sort of range in a traditional sense. So what you do is if you're stuck in that grab and they're trying to push up, if you whole hog them, they can't really touch you and you can save your team. Just keep in mind that if you're not grabbed in with a support, or a support doesn't have line of sight of you when you whole hog, it is very likely that you will feed ult to somebody else and you will die. So you have to be considerate of what you have in terms of resources around your team. You can also cancel heals with whole hog, which is a really great way to surprise an unsuspecting DPS. So if you're getting chased, heal up and then whole hog them and cancel the heals. So moving on to number 3, let's talk about take a breather usage. It's going to be a bit shorter, but let's go into it. So please just be careful. Don't feed ult. The best way to make sure that you're not feeding is by using take a breather not to heal, but to tank damage and keep the fight alive. So basically what this means is that if the fight is already over and you're, 200 HP, don't whole hog. Just whole hog whenever you're engaging to the fight, because you want to use that 50% damage reduction to keep the fight alive and not require buckets of heals when you're in the fight, which your main tank will much rather prefer. It also allows you to play as an off tank, not an ult battery. This also means that your supports get more ults on top of that. You can literally use it to tank everything in the game, so if you're getting focused, that's your get out of jail free card for a few moments, allowing you to think of what you're going to do in those few moments that you're vaping. You heal up, you think, alright, well I'm getting chased by this person, I can turn around, hook them, kill them, and then jump down to the point and get healed. That's kind of what I use whole hog at least for. You can use this tanking potential to meet shield damage from your teammates as well, which is something that a lot of high level hogs really utilize. So if they're taking damage, you whole hog in front of them and suddenly they're not dead. But at number 2, let's talk about Hog's counters. He's not necessarily countered by D.Va, but a good D.Va can matrix his hooks, which is something to look out for. Zarya, again, isn't necessarily a counter, but has good counterplay against a Hog with her bubble. Depending on the comp, Genji, McCree, Tracer, and Hanzo are good against a Hog because they can quickly build ult and evade a lot of the hooks by playing high ground or using mobility. Pharah is a big counter to a Hog. She treats a Hog like an ult battery and gets free reign as opposed to running a D.Va instead of a Hog. So if you are against a Pharah, just be mindful that you are feeding the Pharah ult and try to stay out of LOS of the Pharah so that you don't feed her ult. Sombra is really strong against Hog. She can hack and feed off the Roadhog. Ana is also extremely strong against Hog, as well as Zen, because both can either anti-nade the Hog or discord him to just make his self-heal tankiness weak, which is really important to playing Hog. So keep in mind that these people are good against you, but there are obviously ways to outplay them, but being mindful is important. So finally, at number 1, let's talk about what Hog counters. He's extremely strong against D.Va, Winston, and Orisa because he can quickly kill any of them with free hooks that he gets against D.Va and Winston, and the ability to self-heal and play past Orisa's shield and then 2-tap barrel stuff headshot the Orisa. He's good also against Hammond if you can be consistent with the hooks, but it is a bit difficult if the Hammond plays it smart. Bastion is countered heavily by a Hog that can land his hooks, but if the Bastion has like a double shield, it might be a different story, so you have to be careful of those shields and just be a shield buster first before you try and counter the Bastion if they're playing something like pirate ship. If a soldier or a McCree isn't playing smart, Hog can consistently kill them if they're on the ground. If you're insane with your hooks, you do have good counterplay option against Pharahs, but you're generally not a counter to Pharah. Pharah does counter you, but a good Hog will counter a bad Pharah, if that makes sense. So if the Pharah plays low and you're good with your hooks, you can hook the Pharah and kill her every fight, but that's very rare and it's not something that you should count on. He's really great against a Widow if you can wait for that Widow hook to go away so that you can hook her and leave her with no escape option. So if you see your hook and then you hook her back, well, she can't get out of the fight. And for the supports, he's able to easily kill Lucio, Zenyatta, and Mercy, and Moira sometimes, so if you can consistently predict their positioning and their movement, you're able to kill them often. So in Moira's case, you wait until she doesn't have fade, you hook her, kill her, or like Lucio, if he's jumping around, it's predictable in the air, and if you lead your shot, you can hook him pretty easily. Mercy, same thing, and Zenyatta, well, his hitbox is a giant square, so you can pretty much always hook him. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If there were any tips in this video that you particularly enjoyed, just be sure to like this video and let me know in the comments down below. If you did not find this guide helpful, please leave a comment down below and tell me why you didn't like this guide, why it wasn't good for you, and I will definitely try to improve my guides in the future. If you guys want to join the Blizzard Guides community, be sure to check out our Discord in the link in the description, and our Twitter and our Instagram at Overwatch.guides for our Instagram and at Blizzard_guides for our Twitter. If you want to see more content like this, so tips and tricks videos, or you want to see more Twitch weekly highlight videos, you can get subscribed and notified so that you never miss a single one of our uploads. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Have a nice day. My name is Nate, and this was Blizzard Guides.